Yes, everybody, I am a music lover. And I want to talk about a person with whom I've been fascinated since I was a teenager in the 60s. I have great admiration and pity for this person, and I will talk to you tonight about this person's childhood, their influence, and their demise. I'm a Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guest. Now own up to it, folks. How many of you have ever been to a Rolling Stones concert? It's quite a treat, isn't it? Well, did you know that Brian Jones was an English musician and the founding member of the Rolling Stones? Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are today the frontmen, but Brian Jones was the one who came up with the idea for the Rolling Stones and was the catalyst that pulled them together. Jones was born February 28, 1942, to middle-class people in Cheltenham, a suburb of Manton. He was a good student in school, getting great marks, but had total disrespect for authority and was often expelled for behavior problems. In senior high, he left in disgrace because he impregnated a 14-year-old girl. This was the first of 6 illegitimate children he would father with 6 different women. Jones grew up listening to jazz and American rhythm and blues, also known as R&B, and his favorite artists were Elmore James and Robert Johnson. In the early 60s, Jones hung around London, befriending many jazz and R&B musicians. On May 2nd, 1962, he placed an ad in the Jazz News, which was like a local house organ amongst the clubs in London. He was asking for musicians to audition for a new rhythm and blues group that he wanted to form. From that audition, the 3 principal people of the Rolling Stones started: Brian Jones himself, Keith Richards, and Mick Jagger. The Rolling Stones played their first gig on July 12, 1962 at the Marquee Club in London with a backup rhythm section. In 1963, Charlie Watts was added on drums and Bill Wyman was added on bass, thus solidifying the permanent lineup of the Rolling Stones. In the early days of the Stones, Brian handled all the business deals, all the bookings, and was the music director. His influence is noticeable on the first 12 albums of the Rolling Stones. He was able to play 27 instruments competently. 27. Many classical trained musicians cannot play 27 instruments. And remember that number, folks. Remember that number. Examples. Listen to the slide guitar on No Expectations, the guitar riff on The Last Time, the sitar on Paint It Black, the organ on Let's Spend the Night Together, the marimba on Under My Thumb, the recorder on Ruby Tuesday, harpsichord on Lady Jane, accordion on Backstreet Girl, and the saxophone on Stray Cat Blues. These are just a few samples of Jones's influence. His leadership began to diminish as Mick Jagger and Keith Richards began writing songs together at the request of their then record producer, Andrew Oldham. Also at this time, Oldham wanted Jagger to be the focus of the group on stage, taking that focus off Brian Jones. Jones was a very emotional person and felt alienated due to his inability to write songs. Also, he could not get along with the symbiosis of group life on the road. He just didn't fit in. And additionally, his relationship with Anita Pallenberg, an Italian actress, fashion model, and designer at the time, caused him great distress because his relationship ended and she started a love affair with Keith Richards, his bandmate. This guy was really hurting. So all these experiences caused Jones to fall deeper and deeper into substance abuse and depression. He started not coming to recording sessions, and often when he did, he contributed virtually nothing to the development of the music, often lying on the floor with a guitar wrapped around his head. The other Stones had enough. On June 8, 1969, Brian Jones was informed by Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Charlie Watts that he was out of here. But they did give him a very good severance, if you want to use that in the rock and roll world. Less than a month later, on July 3rd, 1969, Jones was found dead in his swimming pool. The death was ruled an unusual, drastic accident. But further investigation, one as recently as 2009, suggests that Jones was murdered by a hired hand he had on his estate. The end of Jones's life marks his entrance into a very, very special club, the 27 Club. That club has members such as Robert Johnson, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, and very lately Amy Winehouse, who died just a few months ago. They all were 27 years old when they passed. And Jones played 27 instruments. So, if I could rewrite the life of Brian Jones, if I could have said something to him, I would have taken him by the shoulders and shaken him. You fool, you fool. With your musical genius, you can go anywhere and be successful. Don't stay with the Stones. And most of all, avoid drugs, alcohol, and control your sex life. So I lift my glass to you, Mr. Jones, lying in your grave. You truly are a pitiful genius. Madam President.